Welcome back to my channel and a happy new year. Today we're determining my January reads by the first lines in all of these fairy loot books. I mentioned recently in a comment to a video that was talking about like negative book talk and booktube trends that the only thing that I really regret about my book buying habits is how backlogged I am on my fairy loot books. And so until I finish my fairy loot books, I have put a buying ban on new books. This will probably be my TBR for January, possibly into February. We'll see how I'm doing over the holidays and as school starts up again, but it is my plan to get through my backlog before I start any new books. I have my wife here who is
Hi.
who is going to read out the first lines of 8, is that right? 8 fairy loot books, and we are going to rank them, and that is going to determine my TBR for the foreseeable future.
I'm mixing them up so they are completely random.
And we're doing 2 at a time, right? And then we'll rank those.
I'm going to read them all to you first.
Okay.
I have them, close your eyes real quick, because their names are on the back.
Okay.
I have them written down on little pieces of paper. You can open them now.
Okay.
I'm going to read them all out to you once.
Okay.
And then we'll go through and I'll do 2 at a time. Uh-huh. You'll rank those 2. Okay. Then we'll introduce each one at a time to introduce it to the rankings. Okay. But I'm going to let you hear all of them first so that you have heard all of them before you are interested in ranking them.
Yeah. And feel free to play along at home if you wanted. How would you rank these? What would you be reading first?
I wrote down the first line of the prologue, the first chapter, whatever was the first line of actual story, I wrote down. And I am going to do my best on these fantasy names. I don't know how some of these are meant to be pronounced. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cue Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music.
3, 2, 1.
When I was a girl, my mother tried to explain how vicious I'd become. Eyes wished she didn't hate her enemies with such fervor, for it gave them power over her. The sky was strewn with pepper pot stars, reflected in the pond below. Out beyond the glittering city of Fantôme, in the wild heart of the plains, the midnight moon hung like a lantern in the sky, bathing the farmhouse that belonged to Seraphine Marchant's mother in a soft silver glow.
We're doing a lot with that sentence.
That was the longest one at 38 words.
Okay.
It is easier to track an animal or a person if it is bleeding.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
My husband is taking too long to die.
Okay, damn.
That's the shortest one. The boy stands alone on the roof of the tallest skyscraper in the city, a thin slice of darkness against the glowing lights. As Niamh leaned over the railing of the ship's deck, she was struck with the sinking feeling that she had forgotten something.
Yeah, that's a mood.
Okay. Overall thoughts of the first lines?
I feel like the ones that are doing more of the character work appeal to me more than the ones that are doing atmosphere. Just because it's giving me, I don't know, it's giving me more of, like, something to connect with than just, like, 2 of those were about the night sky. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's beautiful, it's night sky. 2
are about night skies. I want to say 3 or 4 mentioned cities.
Yeah.
For stats, your shortest was 8 words.
Okay.
The longest is 38 words, with an average of 18.5 words between the 8 titles.
Okay.
All right. Do you want me to shuffle them up again, or just start from the beginning again for the ranking?
Just start from the beginning, I suppose.
Okay. When I was a girl, my mother tried to explain how vicious I'd become.
Okay.
And that is a future become, I would become, not I had become.
Okay.
I read the next couple lines because I was uncertain.
Okay.
So it is I would become.
Okay.
Eyes wished she didn't hate her enemies with such fervor, for it gave them power over her.
Okay, so I'm saying which of those 2 do I like better?
Which of these 2 do you like better?
I like the first line better.
The first one, my mother tried to explain how vicious I'd become?
Yeah, I like that one quite a bit.
Okay. The sky was strewn with pepper pot stars reflected in the pond below.
I think I'd put that below either of the other two we've already done.
Okay.
Again, the ones with that are just describing the night sky or something like that don't give me anything to connect with. So
It's the long one again.
okay.
Out beyond the glittering city of Fantôme, in the wild heart of the plains, the midnight moon hung like a lantern in the sky, bathing the farmhouse that belonged to Seraphine Marchant's mother in a soft silver glow.
Above the other one that's talking about the night sky, but I think that's it. I think right there. I like those. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It is easier to track an animal or a person if it is bleeding.
I like that one a lot. I would put that. Read me what I have on the top right now.
When I was a girl, my mother tried to explain how vicious I'd become.
I think I like that better than that. The vicious line. Yeah, put that on the top.
Okay.
Put that number 1.
My husband is taking too long to die.
This might be my favorite one. I like that one a lot.
So that was at number 1 so far?
That one's at number 1. That might be number 1 because that one stood out to me among all of them. That one and the tracking bleeding one were like, I know those are going to be on near the top.
Okay. The boy stands alone on the roof of the tallest skyscraper in the city, a thin slice of darkness against the glowing lights.
Best of the like nature descriptions for sure. Read me the one above nature descriptions.
Eyes wished she didn't hate her enemies with such fervor, for it gave them power over her.
I think I like it a little bit more than that one, just because it, like, I don't know, it's giving me like urban fantasy kind of vibes.
Okay, so that puts it between when I was a girl, my mother tried to explain how vicious I'd become.
Yeah.
And eyes wished she didn't hate her enemies with such fervor, for it gave them power over her.
Yeah, I like that where it's at. I like it where it's at.
And finally, our final one to slot in.
Uh-huh.
I really don't know how to say this name.
That's fine.
As Niam leaned over the railing of the ship's deck, she was struck with the sinking feeling that she had forgotten something.
That does do a good job with, like, with in medias res, like giving something that's going on. I think I'm going to put it right here. I think I'm going to put it right below the boy standing alone.
You like the boy standing alone better than...
I think this is okay, so I think that last one's a better line, but I like the vibes of the city idea a little bit more.
Okay,
That makes sense?
I'm
Like-
going to hand this to you so you can look at them now that all 8 are on the board, so that you can do any last minute. You're just going to have to deal with that one.
Okay. All right. Let's see here.
Feel free to hold it up for the viewers at home.
Okay. I mean, if I can.
I mean, like in front of you, just to see.
Whoa. Yeah, there we go. So reading them again, I think I'm going to switch these last two.
Okay.
I know it's not going to make a huge bit of difference, but this is doing more. It's doing much more than this one.
Okay.
So I'm going to switch those two.
Okay. Any other last minute corrections?
No, I think I'm happy with where it's at.
So what jumps out to me is that the shorter, punchier first lines are the ones you rated the highest.
Okay.
You rated the shortest one first, and the second shortest one second.
Yeah,
so those short,
first
punchy
lines.
titles do a lot for you.
Yeah.
The longer ones were 4th, 5th, and 7th. Mm-hmm. So those were all toward the second half. Mm-hmm. And then the rest were kind of in the middle.
Okay.
Very interesting. Okay, now before I reveal any of these, do you want to guess any of these as to what book they are?
It has been a while since I've read anything about any of these, but I think the line about giving control over your enemies is The Dagger and the Flame. It just seems like I know this was like 2 assassins after each other and like gonna get into a romance, and that just seems very much like going along those lines. I think that the city one is the one about the kid standing on the tallest skyscraper. I think is Darker by 4, because if I recall correctly, this one is urban fantasy. So I think that's that title. I think I was on a ship and I have this feeling like I was forgetting something is A Fragile Enchantment. I don't know. I know this one's like about sewing and things, and so I think that it's like, oh no, I forgot something. It's just like one of those. I don't know. It strikes me as the kind of romance kind of thing, and I feel like this one is also would be set in the right time for someone to be on a ship. And then I'm gonna guess that the one about the moonlight reflecting off of the water, off the pond. So I'm gonna guess the moonlight reflecting off the pond is The Girl with No Reflection, just because like it seems spot on. Like it just seems like a reflecty thing.
You did not guess the one I thought you would get. The one that is literally the plot of the book.
Ah, okay. Once again, that I do not remember what any of these books are about.
Would you like to know how many of those you got correct?
Yeah.
3.
Okay, that's not bad. I guess how many? 4?
Yeah,
3 out of 4. Woo!
I'm going to present these back to you. In the reverse order.
Reverse order.
So we're going to start with the one you chose the lowest, which will be the lowest on your TBR, correct?
Yeah, so it'll be the one I read last.
Yes. Are there any you're hoping are high up the list?
I mean, like, I already suspect that Darker by 4 is going to be in the middle zone because of where I suspected it would be. I was looking forward to that one because it is urban fantasy. Let me look at Dagger and Flame sounded good. Those are the only 2 that I super remember really well.
So, book number 8. Mm-hmm. The sky was strewn with pepper pot stars reflected in the pond below. Mm-hmm. Is, in fact, The Girl with No Reflection.
The Girl with No Reflection. Asian-inspired fantasy thing.
Chinese-inspired, I believe.
Okay. Chinese-inspired fantasy. That will be the last one.
Okay. Number 7.
Mm-hmm.
Out below the glittering city of Phantom, in the wild heart of the plains, the midnight moon hung like a lantern in the sky, bathing the farmhouse that belonged to Seraphine Marchant's mother in a soft silver glow. Is The Dagger and the Flame.
The Dagger and the Flame? Okay. Kind of surprised that's this one, given that I thought it would be more about the thing I remembered about the book and not some farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere, but that's cool.
All right, number 6. Mm-hmm. Eyes wished she didn't hate her enemies with such fervor, for it gave them power over her. Mm-hmm. Is Air. This is, I think, the most recent one, right? It is the most recent one.
It looks really pretty, and I know I read the synopsis of it, but I can't remember anything about it. This is the one about all the different characters that are going to, like, meet up and have an epic adventure together. So, yeah, I remember a little bit reading this one.
I read quite a bit of the first page. All right, number 5. As Nia leaned over the railing of the ship's deck, she was struck with the sinking feeling that she had forgotten something. Is, in fact, A Fragile Enchantment.
Yeah, that definitely that so reads as like romantic comedy almost. I don't know why. It just has that sense to it of like, oh no, I left the gas on. This one I feel like the synopsis was something along the lines of like royal seamstress falling in love. It sounded very cute, but not like my normal type of read.
The boy stands alone on the roof of the tallest skyscraper in the city, a thin slice of darkness against the glowing lights. Was Darker by 4.
Darker by 4, okay. So outside of any of this game or anything, this probably would have been the one I picked first. Just, again, because I know it was urban fantasy, and that is my jam, so this was probably what I would have picked for myself as number 1.
Which means you have more motivation to get through the first 3.
Yeah.
Get to this one.
Yeah, so now I need to work harder to get to this one.
And when I was a girl, my mother tried to explain how vicious I'd become. Is A Temptation of Magic. Or The Temptation of Magic?
The Temptation.
The Temptation.
The Temptation
of Magic.
I don't remember what this is about at all.
I'm not sure.
I mean, it says sworn to be enemies, destined to be each other's undoing. He was an Imperial, her greatest threat and greatest fascination, everything she'd been warned against, and yet she wanted him still. This reads very heavy romantasy, so we'll see. But again, not really my normal thing, but kind of an unavoidable truth in YA right now. So could be fun.
Could be fun.
Could be fun.
Could be fun. Number 2, it is easier to track an animal or a person if it is bleeding. Is Sleep Like Death.
Sleep Like Death. I believe this is retelling, fairy tale retelling.
Look at the back.
What? Cinderella is dead, but Snow White fights on. Okay, so yeah, like a reimagining of fairy tales. That's fun. I do like reimagined stories. I liked the Lunar Chronicles. I liked Grimm, which was out of a fairy loot box. I liked Grimm quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to this one. I'm actually excited that it was one that was near the top.
My husband is taking too long to die. It literally is the plot of this book.
Oh, is it? Okay.
The Darkness Within Us.
I clearly don't remember the plot of this book. Is this just about someone trying to kill their husband?
No, he's like super old and she married him to like move up in the world. And she's waiting for him to die, but then his nephew shows up to get her inheritance.
Right. Wow. Okay. This is sounding.
I remember all of this about this book.
This is sounding like I don't know. Is it like court intrigue then?
I believe it's. Was this the one that made it seem like it was Beauty and the Beast inspired?
Ooh, okay. That could be interesting. It even says, my husband is taking too long to die on the back. So, like, had I had any recollection of these books, I probably would have been fine.
Like I said, I read that first line and went, he's going to know immediately which one this is.
That did not.
Even if you didn't remember the title, I was like, you'd be like, oh, that's the one with the girl who has the really old husband she's waiting to die.
No, didn't remember that was a plot for one of these books. So look forward to reading this one. It sounds
it's number 1, so you better be.
Sounds cool.
But what's interesting is you said you thought the ones that like gave you a character were better than the ones that gave you atmosphere, but you also put those in the lower half. The ones that were just kind of, woo, you put as the top ones.
I like that. That's fun. All right. Ugh. All right. So here is my reading order for my probably January and February reads. Here's my TBR. And, of course, in just a few days, probably.
What are you going to do when you get another one?
We're going to get another one. We'll probably just slot it in at the end, honestly, unless it's like something like, oh my god, I need this. But yeah, that's it right there. There's my reading order. Going to put it back on the cart and get started with those as soon as I can. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope your reading journey is going well. I hope your new year is off to a good start. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so we can grow this corner of our BookTube community. And until the next one, take care.